Hello my amazing viewers, you are welcome to my channel. If you are seeing my video for the first time, please kindly hit the subscribe button to join the family. And to my returning subscribers, thanks for all your support. In today's video, I'll be teaching you how to make this wrap gown you are seeing on the screen. You also learn how to sew a dress with a neat finishing. Please make sure you watch till the end because I share some important techniques that will change your sewing game. So I will be drafting on this pattern paper for the purpose of clarity. After drafting on the paper, I'll transfer it to my fabric. I'll start with the back part first because we are going to be needing it for the front part. So I will start by marking out my vertical line. To get my chest line, I normally divide my bust by 6 and add 1.5 inches. I will mark it. From my shoulder to my under bust is 14 inches. From my shoulder to my half length is 17 inches. I will add 1 inch for sewing allowance. Okay, I will rule out my lines. So the next thing now is to mark half of my shoulder. My shoulder is 16 divided by 2. I have 8 inches. So I will mark it and rule out my lines. I'll roll it down to my chest line. So after that, now I will mark my neck width. My neck width is 3.5 inches while the neck depth is 1 inch. I will now curve it. So the next thing now is to mark my shoulder slope. My shoulder slope for the back is 1 inch. I'll connect it to my chest line. The next thing now is to divide my chest line by 2. This will enable me to curve my armhole. I'll come in by half inch. I'll connect it to my shoulder slope. So on this my chest line, I will be placing quarter of my round bust. So my bust divided by 4, I'll add extra 1.5 inches for sewing allowance, and I will use my French cuff to draw my armhole. Okay, so I will also place quarter of my round under bust. I will add extra 1.5 inches for sewing allowance. On my half length, that is my waistline, I will also do the same thing. Also add my sewing allowance and I will draw my line. Okay. Okay, this is all I have for the back part. I will cut it off now so that we can draft the front part. Please note that when we are placing it on our fabric, it will be on fold. This is the pattern for my front. The first thing is to mark 6 inches extra. This will serve as the shawl collar and the overlap. So I will rule a straight line. So on the upper part too, I will also mark 5 inches. Just follow what I'm doing. As the video progresses, you will understand the reason for these lines. So I will measure my vertical lines from my shoulder to my chest line, from my shoulder to my under bust, and my half length. I added 1 inch for sewing allowance. So on this line, I will mark half of my shoulder, which is 8 inches, and I will rule it down to my chest line. I will mark my shoulder slope. I will mark 3.5 inches for my neck width, and I will connect my shoulder slope to my neck. Alright, so the next thing now is to divide my shoulder by 2, and I will come in by 0.75. For the back, I came in by 0.5. So I will connect it the same way I did at the back. Just curve it. I'll place quarter of my bust there, add my 1.5 sewing allowance. I'll do the same thing on my under bust and the same thing on my waist. Okay, I will rule out my lines. This is all I have. The next thing now is to work on the overlap. I'll turn it this way so that you see it clearly. The first thing I will do now is to come up by 2 inches. This 2 inches is for our belt. I will rule it out. It's where I will insert my belt. On that line, I will measure 5 inches for my overlap. I will draw a slanted line across the neck width. Please note that this 5 inches is not standard. You can reduce it or increase it. The next thing I will do is to extend my under bust line to meet with the slanted line. So I will rule it out now. After ruling it out, the next thing I will do is to measure 2.5 inches upward from my under bust line. This 2.5 inches I measured is where the shawl collar will start. That is the breaking point. You can make it 3 or 4 inches depending on how open you want your neck to be. I will extend the line to the upper part. The reason I extended the line is because part of it will sit at the back neck. So for that reason, I will measure the width of my neckline and place it on the shawl collar line. So what I have on my back neckline is 4 inches. So that's the reason for the extension I did at the beginning. I'll rule out the line. So on that line, I will come out by ½ inch. Reason because our neckline is not straight, it's curvy. So by the time I fix it on my back neck, it will relax very well. So I will mark it and I will clean the first line so that it won't confuse you. I just use my eraser and clean the first line. Alright. The next thing is to get the width of your collar. Depending on how wide you want your collar to be, you can increase or reduce it. For me, I use 3.5 inches, so I will mark out the line. I will measure the 3.5 inches down. When I get to my breaking point, I will reduce the 3.5 inches to 2.5 inches. I'll measure it there. On the upper part line, I will come down by ½ inch so that the collar will balance well when you want to fold it. It won't be tight around your neck. I will reconnect it. Okay. So the next thing I will do now is to curve the line. Just curve it. Follow the dotted lines. I use my pattern master now to draw the line very well. Okay. This is the shape I want. You can do any shape you like. Right? You can remeasure your collar to be sure that it's up to the measurement that you need. Okay, this is what I have. I will be adding my ½ inch sewing allowance at this side. I'll just add it. Just carefully mark your ½ inch round. Okay, that's how you add your sewing allowance. I will use my curve to mark it out. So on this part now, I will add it when I'm cutting it on my fabric. So I will write add sewing allowance so that I won't forget. The next thing now is to cut out my pattern. I'll just cut it off. Please, if you are watched up to this length, kindly hit the subscribe button. This is what you will have. Okay, this is the fabric I will be using. I have two different fabric here. I have three yards. I'll be using the yellow one for the base. I've gone ahead to cut my back part. Okay, I added my sewing allowance on the neck, shoulder and the armhole side. I added half inch. So for my front now, I just cut out a piece for the yellow and black. I measure the length I have on my pattern and the width to guide me. So what I did is that I placed the both fabric right side facing each other. I placed it right side facing the right side and I pinned my pattern on it. I added my half-inch sewing allowance as I indicated on the pattern. So I will cut it out now. Okay, this is what I have. I will unpin it. This is easy as ABCD. After unpinning it, I will place it this way. That's how it will be. Okay, you will learn more when I'm sewing it. So the next thing now is to cut the lower part. So for my lower part, I will also start with my back panel. So I'm going to be cutting 180-degree flare. So that is half circle flare. To achieve that, I will open up my fabric and fold it like a triangle in form of a cone. This is what you will have after folding it like a triangle. So you will start placing your measurement from the close edge. I will divide my waist by 4 and I will add 1.5 inches for sewing allowance. I will mark it out like this. I will remeasure to confirm whether it's up to quarter of my round waist. So from where I mark my waist, I will measure up to my epes. I have 12 inches. I will add it to the length of my gown. The length of my gown is 23 inches after subtracting the upper part, which is 17 inches, plus 2 inches for hemming allowance, and I added the 12 inches. I place my tape at the epes and I'll go round with the dotted lines. After marking the dotted line, I will connect it. If you observe, my waistline is straight. As this video progresses, I will explain the reason for that. I'll confirm whether my skirt length is up to 25 inches in length. So we'll cut it off. This is when I was confirming whether the both side is equal. If it's not equal, you trim it out so that when you are folding the down part, it won't give you stress. The next thing is to cut my front part. So I place the both fabric together, making sure that the right side is facing each other. I also use my upper part to confirm. Make sure that the way you place your upper part when you are cutting it is the same way you place your down part. I measure 5 inches for my overlap and I added half inch for sewing allowance, the same way I did it on the upper part. As you can see, the upper part is matching with the lower part. So I want to mention something here. I wanted one side of my gown to be longer than the other side, but I found that my fabric was not enough to achieve that. So if you have enough fabric, you can leave about 7 inches for the one you want to use as your base. So I've cut it off now. This is what I have. I will notch my 5 inches. I've gone ahead to cut my lining for the back. So for the front, if you have enough fabric, you can use your fabric as a lining because of the shawl collar. But because I don't have enough fabric, I will be dividing my lining into two. So I've cut it out already. I added half inch for joining so that if you fold your collar, the fabric will show. The black lining will not be showing. That's the reason for that. So I've gone ahead to iron my soft gum stay as an interface for both my lining and my main pieces. So this is my lining for the lower part. I indicated the wrong side so that I won't be confused. As you can see, I reduced my lining by 1 inch. The next thing I will do now is I will go to my machine and join my lining separately and also my main fabric separately. The reason for that is because I want to achieve a neat finishing. So this is my belt. I have the length of 30 inches for the one that will pass through the back. This is my 13 inches and this one is 20 inches for the one I will attach at the front. I've joined my lining separately and my fabric separately. So the next thing I will do now is to close the side, but before then I attach my belt, the one that will pass through the back. I attach it with my pin, so I will be closing the two sides with my 1.5 inches. So this is what I have when I was done attaching it. The way I close my main fabric, I will also do the same thing on my lining. This is because I want to achieve a neat finishing, that's a professional finishing. Okay, if you check your pattern, you will see the part I said I will be attaching on our back neckline. So I will go to my machine now and join the two sides together. Just watch what I'm doing. I will join it. After joining it, you will have something like this. This is what you will have. So this part now is the part I will attach on my back neckline. If you measure it, you will find out that it's 7 inches. That's what we measure for our neck width. It's very accurate. So I will turn it this way and I will align it with my shoulder, from my shoulder to my neckline. This is my shoulder. I will give it a little notch so that it will match very well. Just place the front and back together. Use your pin to secure it. Okay, I notch the both sides. I will start pinning. See my back neckline. I will start pinning. I'll just take it slowly so that you will see how I pin it all through. After pinning my neck, I will go over to my shoulder. I will pin the two shoulder. Alright. Okay, this is what I have when I was done pinning it. This is the shape I have. I will go to my machine now and use half inch to sew it. After sewing it, I will secure my shoulder also. Okay, I've gone ahead to sew it. I will remove my pins. This is what I have. This is my shoulder part. I will give it a notch. Just notch it round from one neck to the other. After notching it, I will turn it inside out. Okay, this is what I have. The same way I did on my main fabric, I will also do the same thing on my lining. This is my lining when I was done joining it. The next thing now is to close everything up. So I will match the front and back together, making sure that the part I join is matching. So I will pin it round to secure it. So for this belt, I will attach it this way. This is the one on my front. I will put it before I join it with my lining. Just use your pin to hold it first. So before you close the side, remember that you will sew the down part first. I will sew the down part because the lining is not equal. Please take note of that. I will sew the down part around. After sewing it, I will fold it and close the two sides. After sewing it, I will remove all my pins. Please make sure you remove your pins. On the down part, see the way I folded it before sewing the side. Okay, so for my shawl collar to relax very well, I will notch my breaking point. I will just give it a notch, just not the both sides, so that if you fold it, it will relax very well. Please do not forget to do that. Alright, so after doing that, I will now turn it inside out. I will turn it out from my armhole. I just put my hand on my armhole and turn it inside out. Okay, this is what I have. When I was done turning it, I will just give it a good press. Just push everything out. Push all your inseam out and iron it very well, both the front and back. Alright, the next thing now is to attach my sleeve. I have a detailed tutorial on how to cut and fix a sleeve, so it's on my channel. What you will do on your armhole is to stitch it down before attaching your sleeve. After that, I will use my bias to turn it. I'll do it off camera.